Sugar, in this episode, we are going to show you how to transform your life through the power of faith and give you tips on how to be faithful, even when life seems faithless. Hey, Sugar. So we have been talking about the 4 F's that can make or break your ability to level up. So far, we've talked about friends and fear. If you missed those episodes, you can find the link here and in the description. But today, we're going to talk about the third F, faith. And joining me in this conversation is my friend and favorite theologian, Pastor JT Johnson. Hey, JT.
Dr. Tierini, how you doing?
I am doing well. Thank you so much for joining me today and tackling this topic of faith, which can be so broad, and so all encompassing. But before we jump in, tell the Sugars, who are you?
Hey, Sugars. My name is Jamel Johnson. I am the pastor of the Word Church. And literally, we are everywhere you are. And the reason why I say that is because during COVID, we were actually worshiping, prior to COVID, we were actually worshiping in a school. And so when COVID happened, locally and nationally, everything was shut down. And so we embraced the idea of online being an e-campus. Well, in 2020, when COVID hit, I told everybody to meet us online. And we're still there. But it has been an amazing journey that we have had an opportunity to really look at digital discipleship. And we've taken what we were bound to doing in 4 walls and have expanded it to now we have unlimited possibilities. Again, pastor of the Word Church, we are wherever you are, and I'm glad to be wherever you are today.
Well, I'm glad you are here with me, and that we get to dig into this. So I think where we should probably start is to define faith. Okay, because I think we think we know what faith is, but it's always good to just start with, let's make sure we have a working definition of faith. And of course, we know us saints and Christians and believers. We know Hebrews, 11:1. Now faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. But outside of what the scripture says about faith, how would you define faith?
That's a great question. So I think I would start off by saying that, my definition of faith is really, 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 oh God, I'm not normally stumped.
I put you on the spot.
You did, but I think my definition of faith is showing up confidently, knowing that you will look crazy.
Woo, that.
Yeah. So having confidence in your crazy. I think that's it. That's the definition of faith. I'm going to put that on the t-shirt.
Having confidence in your crazy. Now we sound like Pastor Mike Todd, crazy faith. But no, that is so real. Yeah. That is real, because a lot of times I think we hyper spiritualize faith. It's like, oh, it's the evidence of things. Yeah. But sometimes you feel real crazy.
Crazy. Yeah.
Real, like, wait a minute, God, this math ain't mathing.
Right.
This ain't making sense.
Yeah.
And you asking me to do what? With who? Yeah. Well, do you see what I see? And my kind of working definition of faith is something that my Bible study leader said years ago. And it was believing that it is so, even when it doesn't look just so, because God said so.
Wow.
And when she gave that encapsulation of faith,
yeah,
that's what really, for me, helped me to really grasp faith. I mean, because when I say we, I mean us, believers, we say we're having faith and but are we really?
Yeah.
Is that really what we're doing?
Yeah.
And so when she put it that way, it was like, okay, I don't have to see it in order to believe it. And yeah, I feel crazy, but I'm going to walk on it anyway. And that's faith.
Yeah, I mean, because you got to think about it. And you brought up, Hebrews 11:1. But even that whole chapter, right, where we look at the heroes and heroines of faith. So we're able to look at the result, right? And so we're able to see what their faith got them.
Right.
But I always like to, one of my strong suits, even as a young lad, um, I love creative writing, so I have a very creative mind. And so when I think about the word of God, I always try to get in character, right? And so, man, when you think about that, you think about, Moses parting the Red Sea, and you get a good Baptist preacher, he gonna close that thing, yeah, he gonna modulate 2 or 3 times, sweat his clothes out. But man, if you think about going back in that, Moses is identified as a hero of faith,
Right. Father of our faith.
but
Exactly.
the brother had to stand on business with
With a
his confidence of 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 a stick.
that,
I mean,
that.
and just think about how crazy that is. I'm going up against a man who Pharaoh basically postured himself as God,
Right. Right. Right.
right? I mean, so now I've already encountered a bush that spoke to me. I've received instructions to go and tell people that don't know me, I don't know them, that I'm going to be their leader and break them free from slavery.
Exactly.
And I'm going to go up against Pharaoh and his army, and all I got is a stick. And I stutter. I mean, so just thinking about just even that, scene one is crazy, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
We hadn't even got to the plagues. We hadn't done nothing. Just scene one is
Right.
crazy. Tyler Perry couldn't even write this, right?
Right.
So when
Right.
you think about that, now we see the end result of him having these, millions of people walking out. They're leaving out better than they ever lived. And he's now faced with the largest challenge that he's ever experienced in his life that was bigger than Pharaoh himself. He's
Yeah.
looking at a Red Sea, and still the only thing that he has in his hand is a stick.
A stick.
And then God comes to him and tell him, what you afraid of?
Mm-hmm.
This is the moment that I told you about.
Mm-hmm.
You're about to do this. Even with the chatter behind him telling him, you should have left us back where we were.
Exactly. We should have died in Egypt.
We should have died in Egypt.
Wait. Yeah.
You just gonna bring us to a liquid grave?
Yeah.
And so and so in that space, being confident in my crazy, that man, we gonna get through this one way or another. And I think that, just kind of not making it too deep and wonderful, and really just having a real conversation. Like, man, if it doesn't scare you, if in your communication of it don't make people look at you like you crazy, if even in yourself,
Yes.
if you ain't having them moments where you looking in the mirror like, why am I doing this?
Exactly.
Like,
You really gonna do this? Is we really about to step out here?
Right.
And yes.
Right,
Yes.
right. And if you don't have those moments, that ain't faith. You're
Yeah.
operating in a figment of fact.
Ooh, say that again. You're operating in a what?
You're operating in a figment of fact. So
That's good.
I'm making it seem like it's faith,
Yeah.
but I'm really only stepping out just an inch past fact.
Yes. Ooh,
So
that's good.
So if it don't work out, I can jump back in.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
No, man, faith is being all the way out there. Like Brown, when his daddy pushed him in the pool. Faith is being all the way out there.
Yeah. Yeah. No, and that's so good. Ooh, that is so good, because we hear people that, how you said, that jump back. I'm
Yeah.
having faith, but
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
having, but and
Yeah.
we want to operate. I mean, it's just self-preservation kicks in.
Yeah.
Why would I jump into a pool and I have never swam, don't know nothing about swimming,
Yeah.
and I'm Peter in the boat,
Yeah.
and God say,
Yeah. Come
Peter,
on.
come on out here. What?
Yeah.
Wait, hold on. Let's, so it's one of those things where if it doesn't scare you,
Yeah.
if it doesn't make you clutch your pearls,
Yeah.
if it doesn't make you question, like I've had moments. Okay, let's just tell the truth, shame the devil. I've had moments where I had to call my aunt, who is an event, and she picked up the phone, and the first things I said was, either I'm on to something or I've totally lost my mind, and I can tell which one I'm at.
Right.
So let me tell this to you,
Yeah.
so I can figure out where I'm at. And her response to me is, no, you haven't totally lost your mind, but I
Yeah.
see how you feel like you have. But you just go ahead and you got to do what
Right.
you got to do. It will. Oh my gosh!
Yeah.
And then the thing we'll hear, like, faith over fear.
Yeah.
If you're not feeling any of the fear
Yeah.
that comes along with it, it's
Yeah.
like it's kind of like fear almost lets you know you're walking in faith.
Right. Right. And if I can say this, I think sometimes we think about the walk and we attempt to dehumanize the experience as if we are angelic, right? You're going to have
All the
frantic emotion.
yes,
You're going to have anxiety.
yes,
You're going to have a couple of bouts with depression. You're going to deal with doubt. But the thing about it is, it's more than just a slogan. It's more than just a T-shirt. Faith over fear. Because if I can just be honest with you, it ain't really that much over. It's really faith while fearful.
fear, right, right. Walking in faith while I'm fearful.
Right, right,
Same time,
right,
both. Yeah,
right. And if I could just deposit that into somebody that's listening now, I don't want you to beat yourself up because you're nervous.
yeah,
I don't want you to beat yourself up because at moments you second guess yourself. It comes with the territory, right? I mean, even to the moment where, we hear God and he's talking to Joshua, looking at that first chapter of Joshua, and we have just lost one of the most polarizing figures of the Old Testament. And Joshua is in his moment of lamenting. He's grieving.
mm-hmm.
I've lost my physical representation of God.
Yeah. Moses gone. So now what?
God wasn't talking to nobody else. He
Yeah.
talking to Moses.
Right.
I mean, I know now we're in this dispensation where every preacher that they preach, I don't know who I'm talking to, but the Spirit of the Lord say, well, back then the Spirit of the Lord wasn't talking to everybody. Yeah. I mean, so now Joshua's in this space of uncertainty.
Yeah.
He has no clue of what's next. And then God comes and say, all right, bro, you've been crying tone. Yeah. Hey, man, go and dry your face up, man. Time for you to go and take these people over to the place that I promised to your forefathers, man. Let's go and do this. And the crazy discourse in those first 9 verses, it is almost like God is talking to himself and he's having a full-fledged conversation. Mm-hmm. We never, ever hear Joshua say anything. But in that moment, again, that creative eye of Jamel, in that moment, God is hearing Joshua's emotions. He's feeling his energy. He's nervous.
Yeah.
He's scared.
Yeah.
And he's telling him over and over again, man, I got you, man. Be courageous, bro. Wherever you step, wherever you put your foot, man, it's yours, man. Just the same way I was with Moses, because I'm going to be with you, man. Let's go do this. You tripping. What's going on?
We got this, man. Yeah.
God come back. Josh, what's up, bro? Why you still here? Like, it's good. Let's go. Hey, man, come on, man. The promised land over there. It's time.
Yeah. Yeah.
God come back. All right, now. All right. So I was trying to be your big brother for a second. I ain't want to daddy you. But, hey, all right. I told you, be courageous. Mm-hmm. Get up. Let's go. And then the very next moment, Joshua goes through the camp and say, prepare yourself. But he could not tell them, prepare yourself, until he had dealt with himself. Yeah. And sometimes God puts us in those awkward moments where because God didn't have a conference call when he was talking to Joshua. He's talking to Joshua.
Mm-hmm.
Bro, I got to get you right. And sometimes we are left in that moment where we got to stare ourselves in the mirror and have that come to Jesus meeting. It's like, all right, man, we're going to do this. And that's all faith is, man. Faith is not, it's not pretty. It's almost like the quote that I have loved Usain Bolt. He said that I've trained all my life just to run a couple of seconds.
Mm-hmm.
And that's that walk of faith.
Yeah.
I train all my life. I fasted, I prayed, I've read, I've submitted proposals, I've put in applications, I've done presentations, and oftentimes I'm probably on the side of the L's, but it's not the side of loss, but it's the side of learns.
Lessons, yes.
I'm figuring out me along the way. And man, that figuring out me along the way don't feel good. Sometimes I'm questioning myself. I done went to school, got all these letters behind my name, and I'm wondering, now, how was it I was able to pass all these tests, but this test about to take
Now you done ran up, downside, because we talk about, Moses, we talk about Joshua, but if we bring that thing out of Sunday on into Monday, it's easy sometimes for us to, woo, yeah, faith, faith, and then when it's time for you to move right now, we push back at it. And so looking at faith through the lens of everyday life, I tell people all the time that everything that you see, even this room that I'm sitting in, it all took faith. And I did it while I was afraid. At the top, I'll never forget this. I will never, 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 never forget this. It was March 2020. And the siren had just blown. COVID, don't nobody go outside. We didn't know if we stepped foot out the door, was going to get tackled. We didn't know what this thing was. It was just everybody moved. The NBA shut down.
It was crazy.
It was right at the peak of that. And I'm just sitting in my living room, minding my business in my, apartment, just, and God said, tink, 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 it's time to go buy a house. Excuse me. Didn't you see what just happened? Post office is going out of business. So poor Joffrey don't have a house. What you mean? It's time to go buy a house.
Yeah.
It's time to go look for a house, go buy a house. Wow. And had just like Joshua, I then had to go tell my husband, hey husband, I know I just started this business a year ago. And anybody that has a business know that in the first maybe 3 years or so, you just trying to get it off the ground. You ain't paying yourself nothing. You just, what I'm saying? You in the trenches. Yeah. So there I am. The ink hadn't even dried on my articles of organization with the state of North Carolina. And I got to go tell my husband, God said it's time to go buy a house. And he looking at me like, okay, when he said that, how he said that, what a man, how we going, sir? I don't know. All is God said go buy a house. Now, clearly, I don't have an answer for that. I feel just as crazy as I can be because I'm watching big companies shut down. On top of this, I'm also looking like, Lord, you had me start a business right as things shutting. So make this make sense. Right. Out of obedience to what he said and in faith, believing that it is so, even if it don't look just so, just because God said so. Yeah. I called a realtor. We had to go look at houses in hazmat suits. Wow. Because people, of course, you looking at houses, you come in house. You don't know if somebody coming into your home to look and they have COVID and now you got COVID. They all in your stuff. We had to put on hazmat suits. We had to sign waivers. Some people wouldn't even allow you, like they were selling houses sight unseen. Yeah. Because you couldn't go in the. It was bananas. Okay. Now here, 4 years later. Yeah. It was the best move. People come to me now.
Wow.
Made you buy? And oh my God, because the interest rates back then, the interest rates were nothing. They
Right.
were zip. You know, house has almost, it has doubled in
Wow.
value since then. And everybody's like, oh my God, what made you? Faith.
Yeah.
Jesus. Now it looks like it was the smartest thing in the world.
Yeah.
At the time, it
Yeah.
was the dumbest thing I could ever do. You know, and so that's kind of that real
Yeah.
life component where we want to look at Joshua as over there, as a
Right.
biblical character, or
Right.
look at Moses as over
Right.
there. When now it's you know, not to be sacrilegious, but it's almost like Dr. Tyranny, verse 1, you know,
Oh
chapter.
no. No, and you hit the nail on the head. And I've always said this, that if all we did was tell Bible stories and we never make the correlation between the story and real life application, then we wasted your time.
Seriously.
Because Moses' faith, it has to be a lesson for Jamel.
Mhm.
Joshua's faith, it has to be a lesson for Jamel. David's faith in Goliath, it has to be a lesson for Jamel. Because I need to be able to see, Jamel, you got what you need.
Exactly.
Thinking about David, real life correlation. This is church on Monday. Sunday, little shepherd boy, the slingshot deacon. One for the Father, one for the Son, one for the Holy Ghost.
Right.
And then Monday, Jamel is facing a corporate giant.
Yes. Yes.
David, when he came to the battlefield, they tried to put on the army's regalia. The helmet was too big.
Yeah, it didn't fit.
The shield was too big. He couldn't even hold the sword.
Couldn't
It
move.
didn't fit him. He had to walk in who he was authentically.
Mm-hmm.
And in that moment, he had to use what he came with. So now Jamel, when he goes through these doors of this boardroom, I can't come in being anybody else other than me.
Mm-hmm.
I have to show up with what I came with. And now with what I came with, I'm going to shoot my shot and
That's
God,
it.
you do the rest.
That's it.
That's the real life application. If we don't do that. So now when I come out and then the contract is signed, oh yeah, this is Jamel 316. Let me show you how I applied the word. Because again, that's faith. Towards the end of Hebrews 11, after it started to name all of the people, the Hebrew writer ends up saying, and there were so many stories of faith that we don't have room enough to even break down. You know why he said that? Because Dr. T, at that time, your story hadn't been written. So he couldn't cap it out with just these stories.
Yeah.
My story hadn't been written, so he couldn't just cap it out. So now, even taking it a step further, sometimes you faithing this, you know, they say life be life, and you're faithing this for somebody else. You going through getting beat down, man.
Molly walk. Just
Molly, I mean, you are literally like,
Yeah.
all right, God. Like,
in the day now. Just
yeah, if I get punched one more time, God, you know, I don't think I'm gonna make it. But then after you come through, you have a chance opportunity, just a casual conversation. And you start to hear somebody that just went through what you're going, or just they're going through what you just went through. And you have an opportunity to share. And then you get that aha moment. And that's what that was for. I was talking to my wife just yesterday, and we were in a moment of praise. God came through. And so she said, sometimes you read Romans 8:28, that we know all things
work together.
She said, but that thing don't get good until you live Romans 8:28.
Yeah.
And so I say, but you know, the crazy thing about Romans 8:28, it's like that snow globe. That snow globe, the snow is settled,
Shake it up.
but you don't really see the beauty of it until that thing gets shaken up.
Mm-hmm.
And then at that point, everything falls back into place.
Mm.
Romans 8:28 is really the epitome of your life being like that snow globe.
Mm-hmm.
Everything is gonna fall back into place, but you got to think about it. Oh, the only thing that's moving in the snow globe is the snow.
Yeah.
The house don't move.
Yeah.
Dr. T, everything that's in there, it's bolted down.
Yeah.
So as things in your life seem like that they're falling apart, as long as you stay unmovable, steadfast, always abounding, God is going to make everything fall into place. But that comes with you having confidence enough, even when it looks crazy, to not put on your track shoes. She's a runner. She's a track star. No, you sit down somewhere.
Yeah. It's so good. That and faith is that bolt.
Yeah.
It holds it down. And as you were saying that, some just hit me. When you shake that snow globe up, and I love that you use that analogy because I actually collect snow globes.
Oh, wow.
I have a ton of, snow globes. And it doesn't matter if it's actual like the fake snow or the glitter or, the different particles. When you shake it up,
Yeah.
it's pretty, but it's not that clear. That little house that's bolted in there, you can't see it as clearly. So while we're in the shaking, we're not going to see it clearly. We're not going to see, we're just going to see stuff flying around and floating, and it's going to obscure our vision a little bit, and we won't be able to see how all this and what is all of this for. We won't be able to see that relationship clearly, see that job clearly, see what God is doing clearly until it settles. Our job is to stay in faith. Our job is to make sure that boat got us bolted down, because what we don't want to do is try to move, and then by the time it settles where it's supposed to be, you not there for it to settle on you.
Right.
So by the time that promotion comes, by the time that things set, if you way up there, and you gonna miss the fall of the blessing, the anointing, the connection, the prosperity, the back end. You gonna miss all of it because you done ran but over there. So you have to stay still during the shaking, even when you can't see it. And I'm just talking to myself on that one because I'm the runner, I'm the track star. I'm the one that want to help Jesus out. I'm the one that, like, this ain't making sense. So I think I should go and have been times where he's had to slap me back into position.
Yeah.
Like,
man, I just, as we were talking about this and you talked about it settling, I want to share this with somebody. While it's settling, don't let that cause you to become unsettled, and it forces you to settle. Because what will happen is that in that shaking, we get so rattled, we get frantic, and our emotions overtake us. And when you talked about that moment of when it's not clear, and I'm now trying to find my way through. It's almost kind of like at night trying to go to the restroom without turning the light on. Mm-hmm. Now, those pair of shoes were there. They've been there. You took them off and you left them
all the time.
Yeah. But when the light was off, you couldn't see. And something that was there, you stepped on it and you injured yourself. But the injury was only there because you couldn't see. Oftentimes, we move in haste when we can't see past what we're going through. There are a lot of people that are in relationships right now because they moved in haste. There are a lot of people that are out of relationships right now because they moved in haste. There are a lot of people that can't stand pulling up to the job that they go to because they made a decision when things were cloudy. But if you can just remain until you are able to see clearly, and it goes back to the word of faith. But if I can pull on that word of faith and add to it, you can't have faith in God until you trust God.
That
Half of the reason why it's hard for us to believe long enough to see it through is we don't trust that man. We don't trust that man. I said this over the weekend. The reason why so many of us are having anxiety attacks is because we prayed to God. And after we got through praying, we wanted to offer him assistance when the only thing that he required was patience. So then now, because my assistance helping it move faster, I now get anxiety. But isn't it crazy that he always comes through?
Yeah.
Right on time.
Yeah. On his time.
I was just about to say it, but it's on his time. But he is not required to update you along the way. Real life example. My wife and I, we got on this, we were driving to Dallas from Houston, and you get on 45, you just go straight. My wife thought that we had lost connection to Waze. And she was like, well, she normally be talking now. Why she ain't got nothing to say?
Yeah.
I say, well, baby, it said to drive for 85 miles. And then I say, we haven't gone our 85 yet. We're still in the process. And so what happens is we are expecting there to be updates along the way, but you hadn't got to your and then. You're just supposed to remain with the instruction that you have received now. When it's time, that GPS will come in. God provides strategies. God provides solutions.
Yeah.
That GPS will come in and then give you your and then. Now that you have traveled this far, now it's time for you to and then exit and then turn. But again, trusting in him and leaning not to our own understanding. The King James Version say, if that in all your ways, if you acknowledge him, he will direct your path. But that Good News translation says that he will make every endeavor successful. Could our success in life be hinged on how much we can stay in the passenger seat after we have given Jesus the wheel? You gave that man the wheel and you want it back.
Don't go anywhere, sugar. It's about to get good. But be sure to tune in next Tuesday so that you don't miss part 2 of Applying Faith in Everyday Life. Be sure to hit the bell and subscribe so that you'll be notified when new episodes drop. Thanks for watching, sugar.